It's become a predictable pattern, a horrific mass shooting, calls to do something, protests about politicizing a tragedy. Time goes by, sometimes it's a year, other times it's a month, and so it goes. Dwayne Lindo joins us with more. Dwayne.
Well, Alan, it all falls back on gun control, an extremely controversial issue, of course. Some want to place restrictions on the sale and use of guns to prevent these mass shootings, while others argue that guns are the right of the American people that should not be violated. But the top question is what is being done to address the situation. The shooting deaths of more than 20 churchgoers in Texas is the latest in a string of mass shootings this year. According to the New College of Florida political science professor Frank Alcock, it's the price many Americans are willing to pay before accepting limits on firearms.
I don't accept that. I think we have, first and foremost, we have to confront the fact that we have a gun violence problem in this country, and we need to take a look at that risk that we have there, try our best to balance our citizens' constitutional right to defend themselves with some very legitimate public safety concerns.
And that is just what several U.S. senators are doing. A bill is now being introduced to ban the sales of military-style assault weapons. Alcock says it's a start, going on to say the argument of a good guy with a gun stopping the bad guy is problematic.
Simply to point a perpetrator out and say that's a bad guy, if we just had more guns and more good guys around, we would have less violence or less death. That's a problematic argument from my perspective.
But it all comes back to background checks.
There might be some ways that we strengthen through background checks who is restricted from firearm sales, again with a view towards people that have histories of domestic abuse, domestic violence in their home.
And here at Aegis Tactical in Lakewood Ranch, to purchase a rifle like this one, an AR-15, may take as much as a few minutes to go through a federal background check.
Check your ID and all that, and you can take the gun home that day.
Aegis Tactical owner Joe Krashenko has been selling rifles for almost 6 years. He says Congress should focus on the current system before making any rash changes.
I'd oppose any new restrictions on firearms. I would suggest that they enforce the laws that they already have. The people that have these firearms, that are using them in the crime, they shouldn't have them anyway.
He points out one way of keeping guns out of the wrong hands.
I mean, some of these private sales and private dealers, nobody knows how they get them. They sell them without a background check to anybody.
And as for the controversial bump stocks, the same device used in the Las Vegas shooting last month,
it's something we never stocked and never will.
Krashenko admits there's no reason for the accessory to be on the market anyway.
It's an inaccurate novelty item that loses its fun value very quickly, and there's no, to me, real practical use for them.
And they're useless because at the speed that it tries to make it fire and the way that it's configured, you can't hit anything. There's no control over the firearm.
Sarasota attorney Jeff Young, a pro-gun advocate, says although he agrees with changing regulations regarding bump stocks, nothing needs to be changed with federal and state laws.
Because we are worried about the bad guy out there who is not going to follow the laws, who's going to get these guns whether legally or illegally, and I don't want my rights restricted and my ability to protect my wife and my children because some other person is misusing this firearm in a bad way.
He says isolating dangerous individuals needs to be enforced.
The background checks, I mean, I'll argue that they work, obviously, but they only work if people are using them correctly and people are following the regulations and following the rules. If you don't report the stuff to the proper authorities, it's not going to show up on a background check.
After the shooting in Texas, a senator is now pushing to strengthen the background check system for all gun purchases.
Dwayne, thank you.